as well. All right. Good evening to my students from USA. Good morning to my students from Australia and India as well. Right. Thank you to all of you for joining this webinar. Today, we will understand about the cybersecurity, and we will also understand what is this CompTIA Plus, what is the difference between cybersecurity and CompTIA Plus. Hello, my name is Lakshmi. Those who joined newly, so you are not aware of me. Like, my name is Lakshmi. I live in Australia. I have 24 years of experience in IT. I'm the director of hands-on agile coaching company here. We do provide a lot of hands-on trainings and very regularly provide these on the weekends. We conduct these free webinars, which will bring the required awareness to the people about the job opportunities that exist and what are the skills that we need to acquire to get into that job. So last I think, yeah, 2 weeks back we have done the Azure data engineering. So today we are going to focus more on the cybersecurity and the CompTIA Plus. Recently, like last 2 3 years, we are seeing so many cases of the cyber attacks, right? So on the over the internet, the criminals are attacking through various means. So there is a phishing, malicious software. We are seeing here and there the data breaches. The high profile companies are being targeted and they're attacking via networking or via softwares or data breaches. All these things are happening. So it became very significant for all these large organizations to protect their data. It's very, very important. We are talking about the sensitive customer data, and they need to protect the organization, protect the data with the help of a shield. And for that, they need skilled engineers to identify the area of attacks and take appropriate action. That's where the cybersecurity engineers are coming into the picture, and that is the reason they are most in demand nowadays. And there's a good amount of shortage for the cybersecurity professionals across the globe. So we are going to understand more from Mahesh. What is this cybersecurity? What are the areas of vulnerability, and what skills we need to have to get into the job? We will understand more details from Mahesh. And Mahesh is from India, and he's having 20 plus years of experience. I took good amount of time to finalize my trainer, and he's like my mindset, and he is a working professional. All my trainers are working, which means that we are going to understand the subject in a practical way with a real-time practical scenarios. So without wasting time, I will invite Mahesh here. Hi Mahesh, the stage is yours, and you have big army, all of them, most of them, at least my old students. So we want to hear from you the cybersecurity, what is the demand in the market, and what's the difference between cybersecurity and CompTIA Plus, and what are the skills that we need to have to get into the job, what kind of jobs we can get with this. So if you can help us with all these details, it will be a great knowledge value add to all of us on this weekend. Thank you very much for waking up this early morning, 6 o'clock in India. Thank you.
Oh, great. Thank you. Um, First and
I'm I'm
foremost, yeah,
I'm making you the host. Yeah, you are the
yeah,
co-host. Yeah.
thank you. Thank you, everyone, and welcome to this free webinar on CompTIA Plus and information security. My name is Mahesh. I'm from Chennai, India, and I come with almost 2 decades of experience completely on infrastructure and information security. So, as Lakshmi rightly said, there is a huge demand in the field of cybersecurity and information security. The the first and foremost, the primary skill sets that anyone would require to change to look at any cybersecurity profiles is a very good knowledge and very good understanding about the core business of any organization. Okay, so you might be surprised that there are so many other tools in the market. There are so many other cybersecurity tools, or so many other industry standard SIM tools or SOC tools. But the preliminary skill for anyone to understand what exactly is cybersecurity or information security or a risk professional is to understand the core business of an organization. The reason that I'm telling you is there are many industries in the world, right? So we talk about healthcare, you talk about logistics, you talk about aviation, or you talk about service industry or product industry. Wherever you go, wherever you work, technology is going to be the same. Okay, so for example, I'm assuming there are a few system administrators here, a few network engineers here. You are going to work in the same operating system. You're going to work in the same servers. You're going to work in the same cloud. You're going to work in the same platform. But the differentiating factors for each and every professional is a thorough understanding of the industry that you work. The reason is Unless and until you know the core business, the crux of the business, you will not be able to understand what exactly the controls or the information security risk that every industry possesses. So without that knowledge, cybersecurity professional would not be able to exhibit his skills, right? For example, for where he has to place what kind of device, right? Where exactly he has to place a DLP, for an example, where exactly he has to place a backup, for an example, or an IDS, for an example, or a virus, for an example, antivirus, for an example. So that thorough understanding is required by any professional. Having said that, any professional who's almost like 3 to 5 years of experience would definitely know, who has come out from the basics, and would definitely have that skill set to understand what the business is. Now, every organization is trying to protect only two assets. Wherever you go, this is going to be a very simple standard. Either they're going to protect their employees, who are the people, and the second subset would be your data. Very simple. Information security is all about protecting only these two aspects of assets or an organization: your employees
Uh,
or your data.
Mahesh, sorry, are
Yeah.
you sharing something or you are
No,
just
no, no. I'm here
speaking?
to. I'm here to.
You are ready to share. Oh, okay, okay.
Right. So only these two. Only let me. I will use a whiteboard. Is my screen visible?
Yes.
All right. So if talking about an organization, okay, there are only two things. One is you're going to talk about how to protect your people and how to protect your data. So the preliminary or the principle of a cybersecurity professional, how you protect your employees or how you protect your data. Amongst these two, the thumb rule is the life of people, the life of employees are of paramount importance. Okay. Now let me go back to quickly put in my COMPTIA Security Plus slides. And before I go, I want to open floor for any questions that you guys have in your mind, maybe just to get it clarified before I start the session. Any type of questions that you have, I just want to uh, make sure that all your questions and queries are answered before we actually get into the slides. About jobs or about the exam per se, or any other questions or clarification that you have in mind, please.
Yeah, I would ask them how easy is it to get an entry level position in this domain, cybersecurity?
If I understood this question perfectly, you're asking about what type of roles that you get in the market. Is that the question that you asked?
Specifically entry level.
Entry level. Okay.
Yeah.
See, there are basically two or three teams that you can expect as an entry level. Okay, so one is called as a SOC team, Security Operations Center. Another one is called as a NOC team, Network Operating Command, Network um, Command Center, right? So SOC teams focuses specifically on the security aspects of basically log monitoring, and you have this SIEM tool, and they basically monitor the logs and periodically, proactively alert the management or alert the IT department or alert the CISO office if there could be any potential malicious threat inside the organization. Not monitoring is basically to keep up the availability of all the services to the customers. Okay. For example, by monitoring the health of any of the IE available servers or services or any internet links. So these are possibly the entry level jobs that you can get: SOC analyst or NOC analyst, where it demands maybe 6 to 1 year of experience. Or even as a fresher, I see that there are lots of demands for any SOC specialist or NOC specialist. Then you can basically take a L1 engineer type of role, where you continuously do those log analysis and network monitoring. These are the entry level type of jobs that you can get. Did I answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
And
Anyone have?
Mahesh, any
Yeah,
possibility that you can little bit refine your audio at your end? It's not little bit echoing kind of
echoing.
voice, not too much of echoing, but maybe you need to increase your sound volume.
Is that any better?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions further before we get into the slides, please?
Okay, good morning. Please, I would like to ask like for people that are just how do I put it? Okay, like normal, not entry level job, but like just starting out. What like what's your core foundation? Like what should you focus on? Like when you're starting your career as a cybersecurity engineer, like what are the things you should focus on, and then what do you build on from there?
Okay. See, theoretically, you have to have some very good understanding about risks, threats, and vulnerabilities. And if you are a hands-on experienced person, you are expected to have some hands-on experience on tools like Wireshark, Packet Analyzer, or if you want to look at, you want to become a penetration tester, or you want to become a vulnerability management expert. There are so many other tools in the market which you can, um, practice and become a subject matter expertise in any of those tools. For example, Wireshark, or for example, Nessus, for example, there is packet capture. Every organization does not require a person who has to be expertise in all these tools, but generally there are a couple of tools that always stay well hid in the market, right? For example, Nessus, or there's another tool called Alien Vault, right? And these are all the tools that the job description demands as a cybersecurity professional, one step ahead from the entry level positions that's available in the market. Okay, there are certifications for these tools who are people who are looking at specializing in those roles. Okay.
Mahesh, shall we cover the subject first? Maybe we'll take the Q&A towards the end so that, based on the understanding of the subject, they may ask more questions relevant.
Sure.
Thank you.
So this exam objective is basically covering 5 different topics. Okay. So as I said, every topic focuses on only the two elements of assets. Only one is your employees, another one is your data. Okay. Now, information is of different types. You have tangible data, you have intangible data. Tangible data is something that you touch, you feel, like, for example, your agreements, your licenses, your NDAs, your BGBs, your agreements. All these are information. Intangible data, the one that is electronically stored in many of your assets, right? For example, your storage devices, your tape devices, your cloud backup, all these. So all these 5 domains are focusing only on these two elements of your assets. And the exam expects that a candidate should have equal amount of knowledge in all these 5 domains for the candidate to be qualified to a pass. For example, if someone is very good in implementation of security controls in an organization, and he takes, like, say, 100 out of 100, and he's very good at all the other 4 domains, and he's getting almost 90%. But when it comes to risk governance, GRC, he's scoring only, like, say, 60%. But the exam engine is tuned in such a way that the candidate should have equal knowledge in all the domains for at least 70%. So the end result will not be in your favor. So a candidate should always have equal amount of domain knowledge across all these 5 domains in order to qualify for this examination. On the other hand, more about the examination is this is a vendor neutral exam. When I say vendor neutral exam, this is not going to support a Microsoft product, it's not going to support a Cisco product, or this exam is not going to give you a simulation. So, like, for example, if there are any CCNA certified people or MCSE certified people, you might get some kind of questions where you are allowed to log into a terminal, configure a configure some kind of run command, having some configuration line items on the terminal, and then save. So these type of simulation questions is very unlikely, or it is not at all expected in your CompTIA Security Plus examination, because I said this is a vendor neutral exam. What you need to know is about technology and not being technical as a starting point. Okay, so you have to understand the various aspects of technology. Let's take an example of how a VPN will work. There are many types of VPN, right? So for example, there's an IPsec VPN, there's SSL VPN. So you need to understand how to implement, how to design an IPsec VPN. What are the elements in an IPsec VPN? What are the elements in an SSL VPN? So the questions will be around theoretical aspects of these technology and not any practical implementation. You will not be given a VPN box or a firewall and the system will ask you to configure a VPN device. No. So as I said, this is going to be a vendor neutral exam. All you need to understand is thorough technology understanding and not any technical aspects of it. Next slide. So this is going to have maximum of 90 questions, right? And it doesn't mean that you have to complete all the 90 questions. The exam engine is tuned in such a way. If you are at the 50th question, I'm just giving you as an example, and you have completed all the 50 questions as per the exam requirements, the exam screen will flash that you have already passed. You don't have to complete all the 90 questions per se. Okay, and these questions are adaptive based. The more and more, for example, if you are in the first question and if you are having it right, based on that decision, the second question will be flashed in your screen. So the exam engine is having that intelligence to start assessing a candidate at the very first beginning itself. Okay. And yeah, so the passing score is about 750. This is just the IT certification roadmap that I'm trying to flash here. And this is going to be at the intermediate level. For example, a person who's actively seeking for a job as a fresher, or he is already having an experience of being an L1 engineer or system administrator, or want to move to shift to an information security field. This would definitely be a kickstart or jumpstart for your career to enter into an information security field. So further in which, depending upon how you want to change your roles, jobs, you can further branch to any of the advanced certification that is available in the market, right? And again, either you want to be a specialist in, for example, BCP or disaster recovery team, you want to be a specialist in a vulnerability management or penetration team, or you want to be an information security specialist in the cloud platform, or you want to be in the SDLC platform. So for example, if you are a programmer or you've already been a tester, there are certain information security roles that are even on the software field. So there are many branches, right? Let me explain that. Information security, right? There are different fields. You want to be on the technology side, you want to be on the software development side, or for example, if your background is in civil engineering, okay, and you can still have career in your physical security. Like say, take care of the building facilities, your CCTV cameras, your security guards, and all that. When you talk about technology, again, there is cloud, there is BCP, there is vulnerability assessment and penetration testing, right? When you talk about software, you have DevOps, SecDevOps, or you want to be into testing, or you want to be into at the SDLC different phases. So these are the different types of branches that I can say one can fit in and start the career in the information security field. Apart from this, you can also get into GRC, that is governance, risk, and compliance, where you play very vital role for the organization, like advising risk assessment, risk analysis, or even executing third-party audit, internal audit. So all these knowledge that you possess through this examination can help in the various branches of in an organization. Okay. Now, as I told you that there are two assets, data and employees. Now, the organization objective is to protect them on basis of CIA, confidentiality, integrity, and availability. These are the thumb rule for any certification that you take in the market, whether it can be a CSSP, whether it can be a CompTIA Security Plus, or whether it can be a certified ethical hacker, which is more practical. So the thumb rule is always to protect the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of the data. Just take an example. So you have data, right? You have confidentiality, you have integrity, and you have. Now, what is confidentiality? Confidentiality is about the authorized employees having access to data. Now, how do you achieve that? By means of having any access control mechanisms, login mechanisms, job description, excuse me, encryption. All these are the methods that you want to protect confidentiality for data. What is integrity? Integrity is something that the sanity of the data. For example, you have many databases, and one particular table is synced across different tables. So if one table has changed, it has to equally change the other values of the other tables or the same tables in the different database. So integrity is about the data sanity, it is about the consistency, it is about the persistence of the data. So you cannot have two different data across two different tables, or in real world, let's take an example that you have an asset inventory where it shows that you have this many laptops, and someone physically goes and counts how many laptops. It shows that we only have 90 laptops. So this is not the rule of integrity. Integrity should be data that is consistent across wherever the data resides. Any controls that we want to apply for integrity is hashing. Hashing is again a part of your cryptography, like your encryption, but it is different methodology of unlike encryption. Availability is about the percentage of the SLA that you commit to your customers, your internal customers, or to your external customers. For example, if you want to have 99%, 99.99%, which means your availability, your objective, the controls should always be very high. The cost of having high SLAs, okay, it will always be high. For example, you need to have a backup. You need to have one backup on premises, another backup on the cloud. Or you might want to have even an online backup where every byte, every data in real time is being backed up somewhere else, which means the more and more SLA, the more and more commitment that you give for the customers, the more and more cost. So these are the three thumb rules that you want to, that any organization would want to have: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Now, the next thing is how to protect your assets. As I said, there is going to be a risk for every asset. There can be a risk for a CEO's laptop. There can be a risk for the data. For example, there can be any malicious insiders. There can be any viruses. There can be any ransomware attacks on the data, right? All is branching out from a very small weakness that is called as a vulnerability. A vulnerability is a weakness in your organization that is residing either logically meaning technically, or even physically. For example, there is an unpatched operating system or an application that requires some upgrades, or you have a device which is having an outdated firmware. All these are technical flaws, technical vulnerabilities. Physical, you have a CCTV that's not working. You have turnstile, or you have an RFID reader in your main entrance that's not working. So all these are physical vulnerabilities. A threat or a threat actor or a threat agent actively exploiting the weakness. For example, in this case, a firmware. I can send in a virus or a script, okay, that can get into the back door of this device and give me all the information about the IP traffic or any data traffic to my desktop. Okay, that's why monitoring, patching, logging is always a continuous effort in the organization. I cannot say that I have 100 applications and 10 operating systems, and today, as of today, for example, 1st of August, it's 100% patched, and I cannot live with that. Every day there has to be constant monitoring on all the assets, because every day there are new viruses, new threats, new malicious actors that is coming upon. You all know what a 0 day is, right? Now, 0 day, I'm sure that every organization, as we speak, will definitely experience 0 day, or they already have 0 day inside the system or inside the organization. 99%. Because 0 day is an attack, is a threat actor or a threat that is not being identified by any of the controls that you have in your organization. Now, you might have multiple layers of firewall. You might have multiple layers of IDS, intrusion detection system. You might have multiple layers of antiviruses. You might have multiple layers of encryption, but still, a 0 day is a malicious actor that is inside your organization that's not been identified. Only through some detection mechanism or someone has identified, this will come to limelight and you give it a name. All the viruses, all the viruses that is available, all the worms or trojans or viruses, were once upon a day a 0 day, an unknown threat, right? How it becomes a known threat is about the devices or the controls that you have in the organization, such a way that it detects and gets into a log file, and then that's why the SOC monitoring or NOC monitoring plays a very important role in identifying, saying that, hey, there is some anomaly or abnormality in the server. The CPU is spiking 90%, the RAM is going at 90%, and I doubt that something is going wrong. Immediately alert the IT team, immediately alert the CISO, or immediately alert the information security team. Then they go and further investigate and saying that, oh, okay, there is some viruses which our antivirus did not detect. Let's take it offline, do a thorough scan, or give it to any forensic analysis, and then you identify that there is something, and you clean it up, and then restart, and then you put it back into life. So these are the different types of activities that you want to have in your as a hands-on experience. Okay, so now your threat actor exploiting the weakness, and then you have your risk. So risk is basically a situation. A threat or vulnerability is not a situation. That is something that is there in your environment. A risk is basically a situation. The situation could possibly happen or cannot happen, depending upon the number of controls, number of security aspects that you place in the organization, right? All right. Let's talk about different types of attacks. Okay, I'll quickly go to the next slide. Now, what is phishing? Phishing and social engineering are all very common attacks. They all target for data. You are receiving an email, and the email is very attractive, saying that your Office 365 account is locked. You please click here to renew. So there is a URL. Okay, and it reads renew Office 365 or renew any of the subscription. By mistake, you go and click it. Behind that, there is a script. That script is executed inside your PC, inside your operating system, where it gains supervisor access. So you do not know. So once the hacker sends you an email with the phishing content, he has access to the super user now, and anytime from backdoor, from his PC to your PC or to your server or to your network, he can freely access anytime that he wants, because he's got an elevated access, he's got a supervisor access. Smishing is an attack on your cell phones. Okay, everyone turn on their Bluetooth. You do not know someone is already connected to your Bluetooth because we're not often checking your mobile devices. And if there is another mobile device that is being paired without your knowledge, all the alien mobile or the mobile owner will do is to send SMS using your mobile phones, unwanted SMSs. Okay. The second attack is to also read your mobile data or copy all your contacts and mobile data into his mobile phone. Right. There is also an attack called Bluetooth snaring. What is this Bluetooth snaring? Or the same attack is also called as juice jack. Now, what is this juice jacking? You're in an airport or in a hotel, you look at a USB drive or you look at a USB, a port, and you're running out of battery. You immediately plug into the USB port. The USB port is available in an airport or in a hotel, but you do not know what is behind the scene. So there is someone who's basically capturing all your data from your mobile phone because this is an unknown port. This is a port that is available in the open environment, in a hotel or restaurant or in an airport. So this is called as your juice jacking or Bluetooth scanning. Now let's talk about phishing. Phishing is another attack that is carried out on your voice over IP box. Now, many organizations use IP phones for their customers. Example, a call center. Example, a back office. They use lots and lots of phones. You see lots of call center agents talking over the phone. They don't use the normal PSTN network or GSM. They use a voice box. Now, if your white box is not protected, if it is not patched, if it is having so many bugs, some external forces can make use of your white box and dial out unwanted calls to other countries without your permission. You can only detect that at the time when you receive your bill and you see that there is a spike in the amount, and then further you investigate, saying that there is unwanted calls that's been done to different countries. So that's called as your phishing. Spam is basically an unwanted emails that is coming to your servers. Now, this is going to be an attack on the availability. Okay, you know why? There is an email server, and you have, I'm giving you an example, you have 100 MB internet, right? And there are lots and lots of spammers outside trying to send numerous emails, numerous spam emails to your servers. Okay. On the other hand, another organization, like say your partner, is also trying to send you legitimate emails. Okay. Now, in this 100 MB pipe, in this 100 MB, almost 70% of your bandwidth is occupied by all these spammers out there. The only 30% of the bandwidth is available for legitimate emails to your customers. Now, this is not the goal of the availability. Availability is to ensure that whatever resources that you are providing for your customers is clean, secure, and is available 100%. Now, what you can basically have a anti-spam box at the receiving end, right? And then filter all the incoming emails from the cloud or from the internet, and then only send in the clean messages to your email server. So what you're doing here is, instead of filtering at the email server end, you're having a filtration at the cloud or at the edge of the internet, at the service provider, at the ISP. And once your filtering is done, all your spam emails are filtered out of this, and you're only getting the clean emails. In this case, your bandwidth is, I would say, at least 95%. No anti-spam box, no anti-spam solution will give you 100% solution. 1 out of 100 will definitely be there. That's a good solution. 10 out of 1,000 emails, that's a good solution. No anti-spam box will give you 100% clean emails. Next is going to be your spam. The spam is actually the messages that are sent out of the phone. What is spear phishing? Now, in an organization, there are levels and different types of hierarchy, right? Spear phishing is basically targeting the big guys, the CEOs, the CFOs, C-type employees, right? I have a top management guy, and I want to kind of start following him. I'm following not physically. I can follow him up on LinkedIn, follow him up on Instagram, follow him up on Facebook, basically doing a social engineering on him and targeting and trying to understand what his interests are. For example, he's a football fanatic, right? He plays a lot of football. He follows some football club. I understand that he's got that interest. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to nicely send him an email saying that there is a free ticket for some football match with a URL. Now, his interest is to get this free ticket, and he clicks on the URL. And now you know, after he clicks the URL, what happens. So spear phishing is basically targeting the big fishes in the organization, the big guns in the organization, not any of the employees, right? Dumpster diving is basically searching the data in the unwanted areas. For example, the recycle bin, right? Or any of the storages where they exclusively have it for cleaning up. They basically back up all the unwanted files and then finally delete this. So dumpster diving is searching for data in a place where it is not looked at. Example is your recycling. Shoulder surfing is basically an attack where you are working on a computer or working on a desktop. A person passes by and then gives you a dialogue, having a conversation, but he focuses on what is there on the screen. Basically coming behind your shoulders and then watching out passively about what's the information about. Now, let me also tell you there is two types of attacks. One is active attack. Another one is a passive attack. Now, the difference between active attack and passive attack is something that you are learning. You are collecting all the data. You're collecting all the information. Okay. You are saving, you're doing some analysis on the data to further carry out an active attack. Active attack is an attack that is happening currently. For example, two people talk on a phone, okay? And I do some kind of wiretapping and I listen to the conversation, a live conversation that is happening between two people. So I tap that and I listen live. So this is going to be an active attack. A passive attack is two people talking on a telephone line. What I do is I wiretap and I record it using some kind of sound recorder. Now later, after a few hours, I come and listen to it. So that is called as a passive attack because I'm not at this point in time, the attack is not carried out. It's a passive attack, right? Passive attack is mostly about learning the environment. You might have heard about reconnaissance attack, right? Network sniffing, packet capture. All these are basically attacks on the organization in a passive mode. You're basically exploring, you're probing, you're doing some survey, you're observing, you're inspecting, footprinting. All these are types of passive attack, collecting all the data about the organization, understanding and time the attack to perfection in such a way that the attack is executed. Most of the hackers do this. They don't see, for example, if there is an attack that is happening at 10 a.m. on one of your email server, it doesn't mean that the hacker has planned at 10 a.m. in the morning and he has executed this attack. No, never it works like this. Every organization there is already an insider. That's what I'm saying. It is just the controls, how effective your organization has, that will detect those type of malicious actors. So it doesn't, and no one plans at 10 a.m. and executes a script at 10 a.m. and you have an attack. No, this is being planned for days or weeks, and then time that to perfection. Okay? Tailgating farming is about an attack on the DNS servers. Tailgating is about, without your knowledge, someone is passing through the main door or passing through any of the secure doors, right? Eliciting information is about espionage. Without the knowledge of your supervisor, without the knowledge of anyone being monitoring, you are taking a backup in a DVD or exporting some important data onto a cloud, right?
Mahesh, this is good
Yeah.
information. In the interest
Yeah.
of time, shall we move to the other slides, please, to cover the other content as well?
Now, these are the
Oh, these are
preliminary
the
skills.
slides? Oh, okay. Yeah, all good, all good. Yeah. So please continue. Thank you.
Yeah. So, as I said, pretending is impersonation attack. You act as if that you're the boss. No one knows that who you are. You are impersonating an attack to gain certain access. Identity fraud and impersonation are very similar. Invoice scams. For example, you do not know in your finance team there might be two people working, and Bob is having some contract with some vendor, and he claims that there are so many invoices that needs to be billed and that needs to be paid out, and you do not know. So you need to have proper segregation of duties. That is also another control, right? Credential harvesting is about you are logging into Active Directory, for example, and you're logging and you're investigating or you're analyzing what are the different types of login, what are the different types of accounts that every organization has. Right? Reconnaissance attack, yes, as I told you, it's different types of attack. You're waiting, you're exploring passive attacks, basically. Right? Hawks is sending out some false email messages, some messages that is not really correct, right? Or it is not what do you say, authentic, right? Impersonation attack can be of, for example, you can also create another fake account looking like your CEO's account. For example, your CEO account is Bob Adam. I'm just giving you an example. I can create another account like bob.adam at your office and then send out an email to Secretary of Finance saying that, hey, pay out this to this bank account, right? Water in the hole account, water in the hole is basically an attack where the hackers cleverly plan the most visited website. Okay. For example, there is a website that gives you free movie downloads, right? Or gives you free music downloads. So everyone, most of the, uh, generally, general public will hit these type of websites. And you all know that these type of websites are generally not perfectly secure. There would be some kind of loophole. So what he will do is he will plant some kind of script behind the screen, and whoever is actively accessing this session, you will exploit this session, and further which you can also steal any credentials and make use of these credentials somewhere else. Typo spotting is another attack where you need to clearly define what your domain name is. For example, www amazon.com is the authentic website. www AMAZ, instead of O, I write a 0, N.com. Now, no one exactly knows the difference because they're just going to hit Amazon.com. But the difference is instead of an alphabet, I have a numeric here. Now, what the hackers will do is they will create a lookalike web page. It will exactly similarly look like how your authentic website looks like. And without the knowledge, they go and shop, they put everything on the card and they use the credit card, their CVV number, all that. And behind the screen, what happens is the hackers capture all the data. Okay. So I'm going to stop here for a moment for any doubt clarifications. Is there anything else that you want to have for clarification? This is just a demo session and that's the slides that I have. And anything else apart from this, you have any questions on the exams or any other questions?
I have a question.
Sorry?
I have a question. So I just want to
Yeah.
know, this
Yeah.
training, is it an hands-on training or is just a training to pass the exams? Because it's two different things to pass the exam.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing is to have the hands-on on the domain.
You're asking if will this training suffice for you to pass the exam? Is that right?
Yeah, my question
I,
is, okay, go ahead. Say something.
No, Mahesh, James was asking, so is this training, is it an
Mm.
exam certification oriented training, or will there be any hands-on activities? Because he rightly said there are two different things. Or is it a
Mm-hmm.
mix of both? Are you going to teach us practical aspects of the how exactly a cybersecurity engineer will be doing on premises?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this will be a combination of both. This will be a combination of both. This will be focused on the exam, and during the course of the during the progress, we'll also give you some real world examples, real world environment, and then I will guide you on how to basically have your hands on different types of tools.
All right, thank you. So the second question is on I have a little background on IT security. So I want to
Okay.
know because I don't know. I know there are some that they specialize in the coding aspect of it, that they write the scripts and stuff like that. Why there are some that they just work on tools, like the one I did in school, just like Wireshark. I use Wireshark.
Mm-hmm.
I use I did autopsy
Mm-hmm.
too. I did like one or two, and I use like five tools. So in the career path, is there any part that one can specialize without diving into the code base? That would just be like you are working with tools to scan the server, to work on the environment, to put, you know, some security in place without diving into the code.
Without diving into the code. Actually, can you interpret the question?
Lakshmi, please, I know you get what I'm trying to say.
Sorry, James, I was texting someone. I didn't listen. Could you please repeat that again? Sorry, could you please, James?
Yeah, like based on my little experience, I did IT security during my course
Yes,
in school. I actually studied
right.
IT operations. So I use part of the tools like I did up to C, and I do Wireshark. I use Wireshark to track
Okay.
some, So I just want to ask, in the field of cybersecurity, is it possible to work in a domain that you are not diving into scripting writing in terms of doing the coding,
All
that
right.
you are just working with tools
With the
to
tools, yeah?
monitor
Okay,
a
right. Yeah,
server, to check,
yeah,
just like user interface, that you are
right.
just
Yeah,
watching, you are checking the,
checking that one.
the,
Like,
just
mm,
like the arts bit that
got you.
we check on
Yeah,
the
yeah.
system, like on the, if you want to know the rate of the graphic, how everything is working, I just be interpreting it. Is
Visual.
there like
Yeah,
a domain, or the code, the scripting part, you
yeah.
have to be there before one can succeed in
Yeah.
the domain? Yeah.
Mahesh, I think you got it right. What James was trying to ask is like, do we have any roles in the cybersecurity where it won't involve any coding or scripting?
Yeah, absolutely. See, for example, you can. There are different types of roles. You can become a CISO, or you can become a risk expert. You can become an information security auditor. You can become an information security risk professional, or information security officer, chief information security officer. See, these are the roles that do not require. These are the roles that requires critical thinking and critical business. I mean, basically taking that critical business decisions. What exactly you need for your organization. That's what I said. The very first, the beginning itself, all you need is a thorough understanding of what your industry is. So if you are properly doing your risk assessment, if you know the nitty-gritties of how the risk assessment is conducted, you would know what are the different types of controls that you want to put in. And you just have to detect your team saying that, hey, this is what I want from this server, this is what I want in this zone, these are the controls that I want in the cloud. So you're basically dictating. Once you dictate, which means your understanding level is this is perfect, right? So once you understand that, then you start dictating how you want your things to be in the office. There are roles that definitely require critical business thinking with having very good understanding about technology and information security. No need to have hands-on. See, for example, I work in a bank, right? And I come from cybersecurity. It's been almost 8 years since I've been hands-on. So the reports that I look at, right, the logs that I looked at, the reports that I look at is only numbers. And based on that, we take these decisions on which are the servers that you need to protect first. For example, high, low, critical. Which are the risks that has to be mitigated first? Which are the risks that can still be in the organization because it's of no use? I mean, even if the risk materializes, we are not going to have that great impact. So mostly it's going to be on a critical thinking, decision making, those type of roles you'll have, of course, with some very good technology background and information security background. But to get there, your foundation and your understanding about how things work has to be spot on. If you are already there, then you can look at these type of roles. Like you said, you already have hands-on experience on those tools, scripting, your Wireshark. You can look at these type of roles that doesn't require any hands-on.
What about
Okay.
roles
But
in GRC, Mahesh? Governance
Yeah,
and risk?
you have your risk expert. You can become a risk expert. You can become a subject matter expert. If you want to further branch down, there is qualitative risk assessment, there is quantitative risk assessment. So you can pick up any of those stream and become an expert, right? You can also become a consultant where your expert judgment is required from any organization. You can also, for example, there are big fours, right? The KPMGs, the Deloittes, right? The PwCs. You can become a consultant there and provide consultancy for many organizations, becoming a risk expert or a vulnerability management expert or a penetration testing expert or an identity access management expert. Any of those roles are still available.
Right.
Or
In this course, are we going to cover this GRC as well?
yes, absolutely. This is going to be one of the key aspects.
Okay. Okay. So what are the roles that we're going to cover when you along with GRC? What else?
See, you can become information protection expert also. Someone who's this role is also kind of picking up in the market. I see in the last 2-3 years. What
Yeah.
most people do is they pick up a degree in law. Okay, for example, let's take GDPR, European Union, or Singapore has a Privacy Act, California has a Privacy Act, Australia has a Privacy Act. So there are different countries who are very keen on protecting citizens' data, privacy data. So they pick up a law and then they specialize on IP, information protection or intellectual property of an organization. So how to protect it, right? How to legally protect it, how to legally apply for a copyright, how to legally apply for a patent, how to legally apply for a trademark. These are the other jobs that require theoretical aspects of understanding and not any practical aspects of understanding. So these are all a part of your GRC as well. Risk and compliance. So you can play a role as a company secretary or as a subject matter expert in your legal team, or play a very good role in governing the in the governance part, how data is being governed, right? How information protection is being governed at the very high level, strategic level. So this will definitely cover GRC section to a great extent. For example, how to mitigate a risk, There are different ways of mitigating the risk, right? Deterrent controls, preventive controls, corrective controls. We're going to talk deep and deep about all these controls. How you accept a risk, how you mitigate a risk, how you transfer a risk, how do you avoid a risk. All these are other methods that you're going to talk about in detail when it comes to GRC.
How difficult is the exam? The security plus.
Okay, so let me tell you one thing. What are the different, has anyone having any experience on CCNA or MCSE so far? Just to give you a comparison.
Yes, I did part of CCNA. Go.
CCNA, yeah. How difficult was it in a scale of 10? Shall I say 7 out of 10? CCNA?
I would say like 5/10.
Yeah.
Because I
So,
did it I did it in IT architecture.
okay. So Security Plus will slightly be 1 or 2 numbers above. I would probably say 6 out of 10. Or maximum to maximum 7 out of 10. I would stick with 6 out of 10. The difficulty level for passing this CompTIA Security Plus is probably 6 out of 10, not both of them, because this is going to be an intermediate exam. It's not an expert exam like you have your CCIE or you have your CISSP. Right? The next exam after you complete your CompTIA Security Plus, you probably can look at Certified Ethical Hacker, where you have more and more hands-on. It's completely practical. Or you want to get into CSSP, or you want to get into a CCSP, a cloud expert, right? In terms of exam, there are lots of dumps, lots of questions available, which we can help you out with. Shouldn't be a problem. And as I said, it's not a practical exam, it's a vendor neutral exam. The questions will be with multiple choices, like your CCNA. Match the following, fill in the blanks, right? Those are the types of questions you'll get.
Yeah, I think I saw on one of your slides that this is a training for Security Plus 601. I just wanted to ask, is this for 601 or 701?
This
I
is
think there's an update.
701. It's not 601. 701.
Okay.
So I have a
All right,
question.
I came in a bit late. Just for this course and also for the exam, once you're done with them, what will you be qualifying as? After, I mean, it might sound a bit funny for some of us, but some of us are quite new in the industry as well. So when you finish this course now and the certification, what are the roles that you might be qualifying as? Thanks.
Yeah, that's what I said. So you can look at any SOC specialist or a NOC specialist role, like an L1 engineer, where you are required to do some manual investigation of logs, manual investigation of any outages. You can also be a part of your incident management team. You can also be a part of your risk team. So all these are the areas that you can look at an entry level. Someone asked another question.
Yes, I have a question. My name is Grace. So I wanted to ask, what's the difference between the CISSP and the CSSP? So you wrote it earlier.
CISSP and CCSP. Is that your question?
Yes.
Okay, CISSP is going to cover 360-degree of information security for an organization. Okay, it's very deep, it's very wide. On the other hand, CCSP is going to cover 360-degree of an organization's information security on the cloud. The attacks, the threats, the risks on cloud, virtualization, containers, what are the different types of attacks on the different services that's been offered by the cloud providers. Just focusing only on cloud platform. Okay, CSSP is not focused on cloud, though you have few aspects of cloud covered in your CSSP. It's completely not on cloud. It's comprehensive about an organization. Physical security, HR, legal, IT, information security, top management, patch management, vulnerability management, backup, DR, PCP, risk, legal, forensic. It's wide. It's very deep.
Okay, so more like management.
Yeah, completely management. So that's a senior level examination.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Venkatesh is asking, is there any scope for the remote opportunities? Yes, that generally we can check it directly on the LinkedIn. Yes, there are good number of remote opportunities also we are seeing, especially the demand in this space is increasing exponentially, and that's the reason we are launching this training.
I am working remote the last 3 years. So there you go.
Okay, all right, yeah, yep.
Right.
So Mahesh, Ram is asking, do we get a lab for practice?
If you want, we can set it up exclusively, but this certification does not require that, but we can set it up apart from this course content.
Yep.
So I just want
Sorry,
to ask another
Mahesh,
question.
does this mean we don't get lab? This course is just for certification, not for the lab practice and all?
See, as I said, this is going to be a vendor neutral exam where I told you, right, there is an exam that is called SCEH where you are expected 100% practical. But here, practical sessions will still be provided, but it's not required for the exam, but it is required. Maybe it is required for your experience and for the jobs that you're looking at. But if you're focusing only on the exam, there's no need for a practical session. But if you're requiring for a practical session, we can provide that as well.
Yeah, I just want to know life work balance with cybersecurity. I know there's money there, but what about the talking balancing, your life as in personal life and the job?
That's a very difficult question to answer because it all depends upon the organization that you work. And see, for example, I mean, I can only speak based on my experience. I was in the information security field in my earlier organization, but I was in the service industry, I was in the product industry. So I used to work at least 10 to 12 hours a day, if not even at times. There was also days where we continuously worked for 2, 3 days because of any outages. But after me moving to a bank, right, work life balance has been very good. I mean, 8 hours of work and Saturday, Sundays has been very good. And that's why I've been able to contribute more and more for my training aspiration, especially in the weekends. So it all again depends on industry to industry. So if you're looking at work-life balance, banking is a very good industry that you can look at. On the other hand, the big fours or service industry or, for example, manufacturing or logistics will slightly have unbalanced work life.
Thank you.
Anyone, any questions, team?
Yeah, someone is asking from the chat that the time of the training.
The time of the training is going to be uh, early morning in USA and evening in Australia time. It's like 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning. Saturday 2.5 hours, Sunday 2.5 hours, like this, and we go for this. We go for 4 weekends. So if you just 1 minute, let me share my screen. Can you please stop sharing?
Yeah.
Mesh, yeah. I'm just sharing my screen, and if you see this timing, I will be announcing that timing. So this is the next batch. So this is a launching offer. Earlier we kept 400, but I just reduced the price in the interest of many students. We want to get benefit, so we're just keeping it 350. And in the outside market, we are seeing everywhere 1,000 plus. So, but just we kept it a very basic minimal in agreement with Mahesh, and we are going to cover all this stuff. It's starting from 7th of September. That's a weekend on Saturday and Sunday. So like that, we go for Saturday 3 hours, 2.5 to 3 hours with Q&A, and A, and Sunday. So like that, we go for 4 to 5 weekends. 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 And if anyone interested to register, all of you have my number and just texting you again if anyone new people join. 2516364. I live in Australia, so please add +61 as the country code. Any questions? Mahesh is here. I am here. We're happy to take a continuous support as usual, like all other trainings. You get this training also. You will have the material, you will have the recording, and you can join 2 or 3 times till you become confident. A full support will be there, and also on the CV and LinkedIn as well. Any final questions? All good? Final check? Perfect. Thank you all of you for joining this webinar, and I hope all of you got a real good value for your my time that you have invested on the weekend. Special thanks to Mahesh for joining early in the morning from India. Thanks to you, Mahesh, again.
You're
Any
welcome.
final words, Mahesh?
No, I'm kind of excited and
You guys said it. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, let me see. I mean, if there is
Sure,
going to be a lot of interesting opportunities, and I wish you everyone
definitely.
who's here good luck, and
Yes,
we're here to
sure.
support you. Thank you.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you, Mahesh. Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.
Bye.
Stopping the recording.